in life. If you're my friend, you get to eat with me on this table, you know. You get to eat with me on this table. If you're my friend, if, if, you know, because I don't share a table with my enemies. Okay. Next. And then, cars. You guys want to see cars? Hey, the cars issue is a problem, man. Honestly. It's a problem. The cars issue is a big problem because it's difficult. Hi, Gavin, not in a bad way, but it's difficult to explain certain things to people who don't have cars. It's a big problem. Hi, Gavin, don't get me wrong, because I feel like you guys will never understand. Like you will never understand the cars issue. Because the reason why I say this is because I've noticed something. When you are a follower and you see me buy a car, like you see me buy a car today, you expect to see the car forever, you know? That's one thing I've noticed. You expect to see the cars forever. And it's a problem now. It's a problem because certain problems I can't explain to you because there's nothing you can do about them, you know. For example, I'm going to make a practical example. Now, the G63, right now, it's not really moving. I've taken it in, go Mercedes-Benz, and they've kicked it off maintenance, by the way. It needs close to 400 and something thousand. Apparently, Barry, the water, like in the engine, the water pump is fucked up. Number one, the oil sump, it's leaking oil as well. There's another third problem. So the whole invoice is about 400 and something thousand, for example. Now, as a human being, I can sit down and say, 400,000, it's a lot of money, you know, and I could easily buy another car with it, you know, and now I have to pay it to fix the car, right? Now, if I decide that I'm going to sell the car because it's giving me problems, when it comes to you guys, to you witches, you'll be saying things like, it was never his, it's rented, you know. So that's why in the beginning I said some things, they're pointless to explain to people who will never understand. Somebody who has a G63, they will easily understand what I'm talking about, you know. To take out 400,000 fixing a car, you could easily buy another car, honestly. That's a lot of money. So if I decide to sell it, you guys are not going to say, no, you sold it because it was demanding too much money now. Too much money more than its value. You're not going to say that. You'll say, no, it's rented. You are broke. You are what? So that's why I said some things, they're so difficult to explain to people who don't have anything in life. It's so difficult, like honestly. The C63S, it's not here right now, but before the first lockdown, it broke down, right? I was in Pretoria North. I was driving it in Pretoria North, and then it didn't want to change gears anymore, right? Didn't want to change gears anymore. And then I called Bertol, and Bertol said I must go to Mercedes-Benz. I took it straight there, and then they took it in, right? Then they observed it, and then they said that the gearbox is fucked up. Imagine the whole gearbox. That was the beginning of the lockdown, right? The whole gearbox is fucked up. Therefore, they must get a new one. But now they can't fix it on maintenance. You know, this car dealership thing, people, they think they're smart. They can't fix it on maintenance because they found a stone inside. Like there was a stone. I don't know how did the stone get inside the car, but they found a stone inside. So the stone was tampering with, I guess it's an automatic, whatever it is, it was tampering with the normal production, the normal operation of the car. So it started having problems with the changing gears. So they said they can't fix it. Therefore, I don't remember the invoice, but I had to pay it cash as well. So it was in Mercedes-Benz for like from March, April, May, June, July. I took it out on July because I can remember when the lockdown started, everything was not operating, even the car dealerships. So they only managed to order parts around May. Yeah, around May, June, that's when they ordered the parts because they had to order these parts from Germany, right? So they ordered them from Germany and then they fixed them. And then around July, the car was back, right? But along that process, I've seen stories, people saying, hey, where's the C63S? Where's the what? Now imagine that now, and then I have to come and explain to a pedestrian that there was a stone in the gearbox and the gearbox was fucked up. I couldn't, it was fucked up and all that. A pedestrian, the first thing that's going to come out of a pedestrian's mouth is that that's a lie. And trust me, I don't blame you. There is no way you can understand certain things. If I explain to you as a pedestrian that the car is fucked up because there was a stone in the gearbox, the first thing you'll say is I'm lying. Of course, because there can't be a stone in between your legs, right? My nigga, a stone cannot enter your ass. That's why you're saying I'm lying, right? So that's why you are right, I'm lying. So you see, it's a problem. So now it's more like we are being rude when we say these things. And we are not rude. It's just reality. Now, when I'm explaining to you, you're saying I'm lying. So it means that there's a stone has entered your ass and you took it out for free. That's why you are saying I'm lying. And now it's going to be like, this guy is rude. I'm not rude. I'm being realistic. Now, this is my reality. This is what I'm going through every day. So you cannot expect to understand certain things. Certain things, they can only be understood if you and I are on the same level. Lalang, understand, Amar. If you and I are on the same level, that's when you can understand. Hey, Kazwanyak. Hey, kubabucha masipho. Kuba dziphi. Kubabucha masipho. Banya ba. Hey, I want to hey, you see, so there's certain things that it's pointless to argue with you guys, honestly. Now, RS7, Audi RS7, I've had so many stories, people saying that, hey, RS7 was rented, the garage took it back, I've heard all those stories and I've been quiet, right? Because now if I start explaining the story for RS7, you will never understand. Because when I'm done explaining, you will say I don't make sense. Of course, how will I make sense? How will I make sense? What do you know? So it's going to be like, hey, now we are bad guys. No. So I'm trying to teach you life that sometimes just try minding your own business. Your life will go according to order. Now, RS7, every 2 weeks, I change brake pads. Every 2 weeks. And to you, you're going to say, that's impossible. You can't change brake pads every 2 weeks. That's the first thing you're going to say. Because you are used to that pole of yours where you change brake pads after 6 months. You see, that's the first problem. You're going to say that I'm lying because your legs, when you change shoes instead of brake pads, so you're going to say I'm lying. Every 2 weeks, I had to change brake pads. Ne? Now, here's how it worked. This week, the front brick pads. Ne? After 2 weeks, going to the third one, I have to take it in again for the back brick pads. Now, after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I have to take it in again for the front brick pads, back brick pads, front brick pads, until Audi kicked it off maintenance. And it was not even because of kilos. Now, here's one thing I've realized about dealerships. When they say a car is on maintenance, there is a certain limit which they put like behind, which we are not aware of. So RS7 was costing Audi money now. You know, it was costing Audi money now because now every 2 to 3 weeks I had to go in changing brake pads. So they kicked it off maintenance. Now I had to change brake pads out of my own pocket. So now I used to spend at least a minimum of 25,000 a month on RS7. 25,000 a month. Now this other time I went home in Limpopo, right? I went home in Limpopo, and then when I came back, a funny noise started. It started taking out a funny noise, like on the gearbox, like the gearbox. I get you know where you change gears, but it's an automatic, so you could feel goo 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 goo. Every time you pass 100 kilometers per hour, you hear goo 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 goo. And then I took it back to Audi. Then they said, what shaft is not working. Invoice 90,000. You see, now I had to pay that 90,000. Now, if I explain this to a pedestrian, do you think they will ever understand? They will never understand. So I used to spend a lot of money. Now counting how much I've spent on RS7, fixing it on its own, I've actually spent more than 600,000 with maintenance. Like the money that I took out, that's besides what Audi has spent on maintenance. Myself taking out paying. So now imagine if I had to explain that to you guys at that moment. You'll never understand. So cars are expenses. They are not assets. I believe we all know that. They are only assets if they are used for business purposes, but they are depreciating assets. You know, they are not appreciating unlike property, right? So you spend a lot of money on maintenance. So now I used to spend a lot on it. Now Audi A6, it's a nice car when I'm driving it. Now let me answer this one. The great Kai, you are lying when how do you drive? Because my father drives an RS7 but never spends that much and it's being serviced every month. The great Kai, first of all, young man, I'm not your father. That's one thing you need to understand. Number one, I'm not your father. Number one, Nanger. Number two, your father drives like an old man. And that's probably efficiency, saving for petrol and all that. Now, Chief, now I put it on sport mode. Now I installed extra things underneath for the sound to say, now when I leave the robot, you will feel it. Your father drives like an old man. He's saving for petrol. Now I'm not your father, Mfana. Now I drive. Fana, when I live in Fana, there is no car of mine which lives like an Uber. No, my boy. No, my boy. Now I come Fana, when it lives in Fana, you know. And then when I brake in Fana, from 120, I brake like in 2 seconds. Brake. It stopped completely. So you can't compare me with your father. Your father is probably like 60 years old. I'm still at my early 20s, dog. Come on, that's too low. Why don't you compare me with you? So stop including your father in this conversation. I want you. So the car that's owned by me and the car that's owned by your father, they can never be the same. Your father is a family man. Before he can impress the streets, he needs to make sure you get food on the table. Now I don't have many kids, many useless kids like you, young man. Now my son is still young. He probably doesn't understand anything. And it's not that much expensive. Well, now you are an expense. A useless, big, spoiled brat expense to your father. How will he drive the R7 on sport mode while he has a useless son like you? Do you understand? Do you see the difference now? Do you see the difference? So don't do that, comrade. Don't do that, chief. So I hope I addressed you. That was enough. So I'm moving on now. How do I remove this? So next time, don't compare me with your father. Even if you're watching this live and your father has a G63, my G63 and your father's G63 can never be the same. Your father drives like an old man, on comfort. Now mine is always on sport mode, 24/7. 24/7 and robot to robot. It's my time. I need to enjoy these things. Why must I drive like I'm a depressed old man who has a family and many kids and many debts? No, I'm still young. This is my time. I'm the type to spin a Ferrari. This is my time. I'm supposed to enjoy these things at a young age so that when I grow up, I can be an adult. But now I'm not an adult. You understand? I'm not an adult now. So this is my time for me to enjoy these things. So yeah. The RS7, as I was talking about it. So it used to be an expense. I've spent more than 600. Just an estimation, counting everything that I've spent, the countless breakdowns and everything. Now, when I do research, when I ask these guys from the garages, like, why do you see this type of behavior from a car? They say, no, we don't. This is like the first in a long time, right? And the guy explained to me that, you see, when you are driving an RS7, you are young. When you see girls at the robot, you're probably going to make noise, like rev it. When you leave the robot, you're probably going to launch. You're going to speed. It's your time. You are young. You are able to get these things at a young age. Now, an R7 that's driven by you and an R7 that's driven by a 6-year-old, they can never be the same. Because an old man can never have a car at the robots. Never. Never, ever. When they leave the robots, they live like Uber cars, like. So he made me understand that the reason why my cars always break down a lot is because I'm reckless, right? And I'm reckless. The reason why I'm reckless is because of my age. I'm young. I watch too much action movies. Most probably I want to drive these cars the same way I'm seeing them on this movies things. You understand? So I'm still a kid in a way. I play with these things, you know. Then there's gonna come a time where I grow up and I'm gonna stop doing all those things. So he explained to me and then I understood and that made sense. Are we having network problems here? Because I see people are complaining. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, so is my network fine now? Please confirm with me if the network is okay. But yeah, I still have data.